Shaping Success with Wes Tankersley is brought to you by Aggressive Marketing Solutions, your solution for all business social media needs. If you need a team of social media marketers and content creators to help you build your brand on social media, text WES 2020 to 541-709-6502 today. Get started building your brand on social media. Success is defined differently by every individual. Some have never even considered what it is. I hope when I get older I'll be successful. What does that even mean? Money? Cars? Big house? On this show, we strive to look at it a little deeper, learning from successful individuals on what they believe success really is and how to obtain it. Everybody, enjoy the show. This is Shaping Success with Wes Tankersley.
Hello and welcome to Shaping Success. I'm your host, Wes Tankersley. This is episode number 22. We got out of line a little bit, so this is episode 22 with my guest, Trevor Hill. Trevor is a barber in Meridian and also an entrepreneur. I met him getting my haircut probably about a year ago. Trevor, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, man, it's been a long time coming. I love what you're doing with the shop, and we'll get to talk about that a little bit more. But let's get started by just kind of giving us a little backstory on you, where you're from, where you grew up, and all that kind of good stuff.
Oh, let's see. Grew up over in Vancouver, Washington, and grew up there till about 12, 13. Moved to Boise, Idaho at age 13, like 7th grade. Went to Lowell Scott, went to Centennial, graduated from Centennial class of 2000, joined the military, deployed Iraq, Afghanistan, came back, worked a few, just kind of did in jobs where you have no idea really like what you want to do or anything like that. Fell in love with barbering and took a pause from barbering and did it part-time. Went to Boise State, graduated from college, came back, and now I'm sitting here on a really nice couch in my barbershop. And in short form, that's pretty much it.
Okay, well, we'll break that down a little bit, but yeah, the shop is great. I really like it. We'll talk about it a little bit more, but we talked the other day a little bit about kind of your military background. I want to say thanks for, doing that for this country, because that's an awesome thing. I was kind of scared to do that, but I'm glad that there's people like you who are willing to go fight for our country. So thank you.
Very welcome.
Let's talk about that a little bit. So you, right out of high school, you went into the military, and how'd that go for you?
Well, right before my senior year of high school, I went to Army basic training, went through that, graduated from down in Fort Benning, and then came back, completed my senior year at Centennial High School, graduated, then went off to AIT to be a combat engineer, graduated from that, then I was here at the Army Reserve Base out here at Gallen Field for a little bit, and then September 11th happened, and I didn't really want to go to the war with the Army, so I transferred to the Marine Corps. And with transferring to the Marine Corps, I had to go through Marine Corps boot camp. So all said and done, I've done 23 weeks of getting yelled, screamed at, and like basic training. What can I say? I'm a glutton for punishment. From there, got in the Marine Corps, and about, going through boot camp, halfway through Marine Corps boot camp, found out I was going to be a dad. Which was huge, like a huge pinnacle or a huge crossroad in life. And so I found out a week before my kid was supposed to be born, which I went to boot camp completely a single guy, not a care in the world, and got a letter January 22nd, found out I was going to be a dad, and then I got a Red Cross message on January 29th that my daughter was born. So that was a huge moment of like, all right, like, who are you going to be? Like, are you going to man up, or are you going to, puss out and like not, step up to, a challenge? So graduated from boot camp, came back home, to a little baby girl, month and a half old, which I left boot camp single, came back to having a month and a half old baby. That was huge. And then, with being in the Marine Corps and going through those kind of things, I was presented with another crossroads of where, like, my entire reason of why I joined the Marine Corps was to join to be a scout sniper and, go to Marine Recon and, be John Rambo. You know what I mean? Like Chuck Norris, Claude Van Damme, like, Steven Seagal. Like, when you're an 80s kid and you grow up watching those movies, I mean, like, yeah, like, of course I want to be like Chuck Norris. Are you kidding me? Like, the guy's got a beard. He runs around with Uzis and, shoots the bad guys. So when I went through the Marine Corps training, I was presented another crossroads to where I had the opportunity to where I could go to infantry school. I could go through, sniper training and, get a shot at going to Marine reconnaissance. But with having a month and a half old baby, I wanted to be a dad and be a part of her life. Because, what's the point of having a kid if you're not going to actually be a part of their life? So with that, I asked the master gunnery sergeant, I was like, you've got 26 years in the Marine Corps and I'm in this situation. What would you recommend for me to do? And the guy looked at me and was like, you know what? I would be an admin clerk. Just like scout sniper, special operations, admin clerk. Okay. There's not anything that's more polar opposite than either one of those. And I decided to take my boyhood dream from the age of 12 and trade that in for being an admin clerk and to be a dad. There's very few times within your, let me rephrase myself. There's a lot of times throughout your life that you're presented with crossroads and you make the wrong decision, like, you're going to delay so much, like, further success because you made the wrong decision. But the thing is that it's all a matter of retrospect of whether or not you, like, it is a bad decision. Because, whatever you choose, it's going to work out in the long run. So I made that decision and that ended up, getting in with an infantry unit, being there in an infantry unit, going through a lot of specialty schools and, getting opportunities that I wouldn't normally have had. And then, I went to Iraq and I was in Fallujah, Iraq, and I served with 3rd Battalion, 1st Marines over in Fallujah. And that was a pretty gnarly time in life. Our battalion lost, I believe, about 33 guys in 7 months and 22 in 1 week. And we served under the command of Colonel Buell, which is hands down one of the best leaders I've ever served underneath. And with just being through that and experiencing that, I didn't really want to go to war anymore. And the best thing I can say is I went to war and I found my humanity. And as a result of that, I got out of the military. Getting out of the military, I felt very lost because you lose so much of your identity. For 4 years you're a United States Marine, and you are a Marine. You have a high and tight haircut. You wear a uniform. You have purpose. You protect people. You serve. Honor, courage, commitment, semper fi, kill. You're a part of something that's bigger than you, and then all of a sudden it's gone. So with going through that, a huge identity crisis, and then dealing with post-traumatic stress and a lot of other things, I just started working at an IT place and dead-end job. And knowing that I didn't want to go anywhere, I started just praying, for about a month and a half, 2 months, and just every day, God, universe, whatever's out there to lead me to my calling. And about a month and a half, 2 months later, what I was telling you when I was cutting your hair the other day, is I heard something speak to me in my head. I can't explain it. weirdest experience of my entire life. But all I heard one day was be a barber, and got on the computer at work, looked up the local barber college phone number, took a break, called the place. Hey, I'm interested in becoming a barber, and the guy starts laughing. Is this guy laughing at me? And he finishes laughing, and he's like, "Hey, I'm sorry, I'm not laughing at you, but this is just funny that you're calling me and you're asking me if you can use your GI Bill to pay for barber college, because I just got off the phone with the VA and they just told me that I'm approved to accept the GI Bill." And I was like, okay, that's like too big of a coincidence. And then started school. I worked 40 hours a week, and I went to school 45 hours a week. So I had like an 85-hour work week. So
That's
I've
crazy.
been deployed in Iraq and Afghanistan, like 85 hours. That's a vacation. Went through and did that, and everything just clicked. I had one of my instructors tell me that, maybe they tell this to everybody, but he told me, I was like, he's never seen such natural raw talent at doing something. And it just clicked, and it's the greatest thing I've ever done. Here I am 13 years into it, and I don't work a day in my life.
You've done it for 13 years. How did it start out for you? Because obviously this is a new thing. You have your own shop now, and we'll talk about that in a minute here. But where did you start? Because everyone's got to start somewhere. You went to college, you graduated. Where did it go from there?
So when I first became a barber, I worked at Fred's Barbershop here in Meridian. Killer shop. That man taught me so much, and kicked my ass a few times. Not like in front of people. Like if I messed up on a haircut, he would take me, to the break room area, and be like, "Hey, you need to watch this, this, and this," and like he just kind of helped cultivate, help me bring me up to kind of play in the big leagues. And then while I was working for there, one of the barbers, his wife, unfortunately had cancer, and it was starting to flare up a lot more, so he needed to come back and work more. And at that exact time, that's when I got a call from Blackwater to go work in Afghanistan. So I actually packed up all my clippers and took my stuff with me to Afghanistan and cut hair over there. Did that for a little bit, came back, decided to open up my my first shop, which built an entire shop on $5,000. It kind of worked out. I didn't have a clue what I was doing, which that's what led to college, and then learning that, and then that's what led to here. But it's just a lot of like hardship and just kind of getting your teeth kicked in. You don't reach that pinnacle moment on top of the summit on a mountain without getting your teeth kicked in, or just failing. Like fail fast, fail often.
Right. So you have a degree from Boise State too. What's that in?
It's in leadership, communication, and entrepreneurial innovation.
Okay, so you basically did that to help you figure out how to run your own shop, correct?
That is correct.
Yeah, here we go. It led right into it. I love it. That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
So when did you start getting this vision? Because it's, you said you had your own shop, and then you had to, so that didn't last very long. You had to go work for someone else again, or what happened from there?
Yeah. So
after you went back to college.
The first shop. Yeah. So I got back from working over in Afghanistan, had some money saved up, and built an entire barbershop on $5,000, which, like, looking back, I'm like, wow, $5,000. I did that, and I lasted probably a little over a year on the first go round. But I was dealing with a lot of post-traumatic stress, complete and utter lack of business knowledge. Like, you might be good at your craft, but if you don't know how to run a business and run books and budget and all these things, like, don't waste your money, like, flat out, period. But it was, I like to refer to it as my $5,000 MBA program. But, going through and doing that, leading to college was, all right, I don't know how to do this, and I like doing this, and I failed. So what do I need to do in order to, like, learn how to do this again. Because I have field operation experience, but I don't have any actual training in it. So it's like, okay, you went out on the battlefield without any training, you failed, and now you're going to school to learn actually how to, do what you did and improve upon it.
Right. And it's funny because you just said something about failure a second ago that made me really think about what you're saying now. I mean, had you just given up, where would you be now? You wouldn't be sitting in that shop. And failure is something that a lot of people have a really hard time dealing with these days. So how did that, what happened when you first failed? Were you kind of like, hey, I'm not going to do this? Or was it always, no matter what, I'm going to make it work. I'm just going to re-engineer it and figure it out?
Yeah, that's exactly it. It's like, okay, I failed. But I mean, there's also that, failing and be like, okay, this didn't work. I'm going to go this direction. And you're like, well, wait, why am I trying to completely reinvent the wheel? Because it's like you did something and then you're like, well, I'm going to do this, and now I'm going to do this, and now I'm going to do this. And I wasted so much time, like, so at the time, a lot of people are saying like, oh, you're wasting your time, this and that. But I wasn't wasting my time. Like, I was on my path. Like, you might want to bleep this one out, but it's like, fuck what everybody else thinks. Like, straight up, like Gary Vee, like it doesn't matter. Like, you do you and get stuff done. Because I went and worked for Monster Energy and, had my, going through college and just working for Starbucks while going through school. And every single one of these companies that like I worked for along the path of like getting right here is like I learned things and I failed there, or I spoke to a boss wrong, or didn't interact with a fellow employee well, and every single thing cultivated, like failure is not failure. It's little nuggets of wisdom that are wrapped up in very painful packages, and you get to open them along the way to success, and they suck. It's like the worst present ever. It's like getting up on Christmas morning and you just got a pair of socks. But the thing is that the socks, they're good. Like, I don't have blisters.
Serve a purpose.
This is fantastic. But like everything serves a purpose, and when I just completely shifted how I viewed things, and where it's like, okay, this sucks right now, but this is going to work to my favor. I just don't know when it's going to work to my favor. And it's like, you know what? Go run different paths. You know what? Sometimes the tunnel vision like this is completely like keeping you from other failures or lessons or this and that. You don't learn the things, because then when you actually achieve the prize, did you learn all the things that allows you to keep hanging on to the prize? Or did you just get there, you won, but you don't know how to win again? Like you're a fluke. You know what I mean? You just happen to like train really hard and do this and that and you won, but you can't ever repeat that, win again.
Right.
So that's what I would say.
Yeah, it's funny because... Yeah, it's funny because that's I mean, it's kind of the same path that I'm on. I mean, I got 2 degrees over here. I worked changing tires for 11 years, and all these things that I did, like I look at some of them as mistakes, but the mistakes aren't really mistakes. They're learning experiences, because it helped me to realize what I wanted, what I needed to do to fix the situation, and how much harder I got to work. But that's the thing. I listened to Grant Cardone talk about looking at failure as a green light when most people look at it as a red light. Let's stop because we failed. And it's great that you really got to look at that and go, like you said, who cares what other people think, because it's your path, not theirs.
Yeah. Yeah. Like lick your wounds, get back up and push forward again. It's like, okay, like think of all the greats that failed. Like Henry Ford, Edison, like, Colonel Sanders. Like, the guy didn't hit success until he was like in his 60s or 70s. You know what I mean?
And it's funny.
Like he kept
all
going.
they remember is the success. They don't remember the bad, the mess ups. They remember the good things that happen. So that's what it is.
Well, I guarantee you remember the mess ups. I remember the mess ups. And it's just like
Oh
a
yeah,
friendly,
I remember them.
like little comforting blanket that's like, I remember you, failure. I like
Yep.
I like you, but I'm not gonna repeat you again. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm not going to do that again.
Yeah.
Yep.
Learn from it.
Well, yep. Well, let's talk about this vision, because when I met you last year, you talked about, I mean, you talked about what led you to be a barber, and then you had this vision because you were talking to me about your shop that you currently have now. And when I walked into that thing, I sat there and I probably had like a 5-minute conversation with you about what it was going to look like. And I had this vision in my head of what you were going to do. And I walked in there and it's almost exactly what you said it was, So it is pretty much is exactly what you said it was. So what defines this shop?
Yeah.
What's different about it? Why did you want to make it this way?
I wanted a place for friends to come. Like, yeah, I'm a barber, but it's like I'm more concerned with building my eulogy than my bank account. Because when I leave this earth, I can't think of anything more amazing than, packing out a church or wherever a funeral service is done. So with that like in mind, is just like building a place that when you walk into the shop, it's comfortable. It feels like you're going to a friend's house. Like you're obviously in a barbershop, but it's just one of those places that you feel welcome and you feel appreciated, and just, I mean, overall, you just feel welcomed. Like you come in and you meet me for the first time, and it's like you've known me for years.
And it's kind of like a I don't know, I want to say like a gentleman's club, maybe. Like you walk in there and there's just some cool nostalgic stuff. Like, I mean, you can see the beams behind your head right now in that mirror. I know that couch that you're sitting on is from England. Talk about some of the stuff you have in there, your chairs and all that stuff.
Okay. So the barbershop, just the whole design concept is kind of like a gentleman's study or a cigar lounge, or just, like, it's like, I don't know, it's hard to describe. It's rugged and it's refined. It's a place where, regardless of if you're white collar, blue collar, make minimum wage, or, make six figures or you're a billionaire. And I mean, like, either way, it's like I serve both people. Both are welcome and both get the exact same service, regardless of, whether you're the guy laying the bricks or the guy that owns the brick company. Like, it really doesn't matter, but just kind of going for a decor that's also, like savage and gentleman. On one side, from being serving in the military and, being in Iraq and Afghanistan, and the other side of like being raised by a single mom and having a grandma and a mom that, just taught me chivalry and being a gentleman and treating people with respect and just doing those things. I wanted a physical representation of my personal character and like what I'm into and what I love, and wanting to encourage like other men to pursue those things and like embrace like being a gentleman.
So where can we find that? Where's that at? What's the address of the barbershop? So if someone wants to come in here locally in Idaho and get a haircut, I'm in Star, but you're in Meridian, which is, for those of you who are out of town, is probably about 5-8 miles away from my house.
Yeah. So it's 128 East Broadway Avenue, and we're right next door to the Frontier Club, and we're on the same street as City Hall. So like where Main Street and East Broadway Avenue meet, we're just east of City Hall, off of Main Street on East Broadway Avenue.
And it's by appointment, right? So how do you get in there? What's the best way to find that to schedule an appointment?
Go to www.barclayandandhill.com. So that's the best way to book an appointment with us.
And then you also have a Barclay and Hill Instagram account, which is pretty cool because you post a lot of great pictures in there of like what the shop looks and everything. So what's that? Is it at Barclay and Hill? Is that what it is?
Yeah, at Barclay and A&D Hill. Yeah. So at barclayandhill.com on Instagram.
Awesome. Well, you have a great story. We have one last question that I always ask. This is kind of the kicker because the show is called Shaping Success. And we want to talk about basically what that is that success is defined differently by every single individual. And I'm sure your definition is a little bit different than mine. So what is the shape of your success? How do you define success in what you do?
Gosh, that's such a tough way to define. Success to me is building this shop. Like, this is the most successful that I've ever done. Army, Marine Corps, Blackwater, college degree, being a barber, but building this barbershop to me makes me feel the most successful because I took something that I had a vision for, that I wanted for 10 years, and I sought out the mentors. I laid out the plan. I obsessed endless hours to 2-3 o'clock in the morning, multiple days, lost sleep, gained about 20 pounds, just to build something that's in my head, you know what I mean? Where it's it's an obsession. It's you have this vision of something that you want, and you can picture it, and when someone builds, as you're building it, nope, that doesn't look right, move that. And because you're just in your mind's eye, and to take something that I've obsessed about for 10 years and spent endless hours, arguments with my wife, stop obsessing about this barbershop, don't talk about it for 2 hours. Just everything in my life. It was that. And to finally have it become reality, that to me is success, is when you take something that you love, you're passionate about, you want, and you build it, and you actually see it become something. You just created something from little, a piece of wood here, and, paint here, and brick, and this and that, and, it becomes something. So it's to be able to do that to me is success, is when you've taken something that you love and you've thought about and planned, and it becomes something. There's no greater success than that.
It's super simple. You just followed your dreams and you made it happen. So that's awesome, man. Well, I think it's a great story. If you guys are looking for a haircut and you're in Idaho, you need to go check this place out. I get my haircut there personally. Great place, great vibe. Trevor, I just want to say thanks for taking the time out of your evening. I know you worked all day to be on the show here. I really appreciate it. And I hope you get a little bit of business out of this because, you got a great shop going on there.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah, that's awesome. All right, everyone. Well, that is the end of the show. I wanted to say thank you for taking the time to tune in. If you can do me a favor, please give me a 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts. This goes live on Monday. We're on TV PBN right now, on the live show on Facebook. And so check out the podcast, give it a 5-star rating, share the show with your friends. Thank you for all your support. Until next time, I encourage you to find the shape of your success.
This was Shaping Success with Wes Tankersley, brought to you by Aggressive Marketing Solutions. If you need a team of marketers to help you with social media, all you need to do to start is text Wes 2020 to 541-709-6502. 541-709-6502. That is Aggressive Marketing Solutions. Have a great day. See you next time.